Here's Pelosi at a briefing back in November, for example.
The other thing that we're getting we're sending stuff over to the Senate. Well, most of the product that we've done is, except now we may have added in the last day or so, and some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing. Bernie doesn't like hearing. Excuse me, Bernie loves hearing. Manchin doesn't want hearing in the bill and all that stuff. So some is Senate-oriented, and then we have the family medical leave. We figured if they're putting things in, then we can put something in, even if Manchin doesn't like it. So we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub, because privilege scrub is deadly to a bill. Birdable, it's important. You have to take it out, but privilege violation can take you out.
So at this point, August of 2022, Taiwan is the world's great flashpoint. It's the largest power with an aim it has articulated repeatedly over almost 80 years to invade a neighboring country, Taiwan. So there's no more delicate place diplomatically on the globe. So if you're sending that person to calm tensions or reassure our allies, you're probably not doing what you say you're doing. You may be doing the opposite. If you're trying to provoke your enemies and terrify your so-called allies, you'd probably pick Nancy Pelosi as your representative in Taiwan. What is going on here? Well, if you're wanting to understand the motive of the people in charge, consider this. At the same moment that we are clearly goading other countries into conflict with each other and with us, we are, meaning the Biden administration is, degrading our ability to participate or prevail in those wars. Our defensive capabilities have never been weaker, and that's not an accident. They did it. For example, the Central Intelligence Agency, whatever you think of it, we don't think much, kind of important to our country, certainly well funded. Here's a recent recruiting ad from the CIA.
I am a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I am intersectional, but my existence is not a box-checking exercise. I am a walking declaration, a woman whose inflection does not rise at the end of her sentences, suggesting that a question has been asked. I used to struggle with imposter syndrome, but at 36, I refuse to internalize misguided patriarchal ideas of what a woman can or should be.
Oh, you're intersectional with a generalized anxiety disorder? Come work in a critical federal agency. So if you're running an ad like that, not only are you not serious, you are trying to degrade and hurt the ability of the United States to defend itself, to perpetuate itself, to remain the United States for our grandchildren. That's exactly what, let's stop lying about it. That's exactly what you're doing. And it's not just happening at CIA. Nothing Joe Biden has done in the last year and a half has made our armed forces better prepared to fight wars. Instead, it has been one calculated humiliation after another for the U.S. armed forces. Vax mandates, anti-white ideology, sex changes, drag shows. Whatever is necessary to telegraph to the United States military, you are worthless, you are defending a country that does not deserve to be defended, your traditions are disgusting, you're terrible. That's the message. Here's the latest. The VA has decided to desecrate military cemeteries. That'd be America's last remaining national shrine, our military cemeteries, desecrated with industrial wind turbines. One just went up in a Massachusetts National Cemetery. So take 3 steps back. They are starting more wars while simultaneously making it harder for the United States to fight and prevail in those wars.
A spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry said this morning that their army will, quote, never sit by idly.
Yeah, well, you know what? We have an army, too.
And would take strong measures.
It won't sit by idly either. Don't tell our leaders where they can go and where they can't go. I salute Nancy Pelosi for going there, for sending a message that Taiwan is an ally. And just as we won't support Taiwan's independence, and breaking away from this one China policy, we will not stand idly by if mainland China decides to invade Taiwan.
More childish posturing from people who have no idea what they're talking about and no skin in the game whatsoever. The truth is, we're not in a position to prosecute a successful war against China. We should be, We should have been making defensive strategic moves for the past 20 years, onshoring critical manufacturing, building up a strong military, and yes, a strong CIA, not degrading them with identity politics and other pointless lunacy that detracts from the mission, which is to protect the United States. But that's exactly what we've done. Republicans in Congress have allowed it to happen. Oh, more funding for you. So whatever the motive here is, the effect is absolutely predictable, as with Afghanistan and Ukraine and COVID and pick 9 other disasters. When what we're watching right now finally ends, the U.S. is likely to be weaker and China is likely to be stronger. So what does this mean? It means the beginning of the end of American influence in Asia, influence that we paid for with blood. And that's not an overstatement. More than 500,000 American servicemen were killed or wounded in the Pacific Theater in the Second World War and in Korea a few years after that. And as a result of their sacrifice and wise diplomacy, countries like Japan and South Korea and Singapore and the Philippines have all been in our orbit, the Western orbit, America's orbit, for most of the last century. And that's been a good thing for all involved. Not perfect, but better than the alternative. But we're about to see the alternative thanks to, whatever the motive, the lunacy of people like Pelosi and Biden. Harry Kennedy.